Sincere thanks to all our audience. To continue watching videos without ads, you can subscribe via the Gumroad link below the description. If you want to watch the latest free videos, you can visit ourdailyblog.com. If you continue to love and support us, you can donate to us via GiveSendGo or PayPal or Gumroad link below the description. God bless us all. Restored Republic via GCR, update as of March 6, 2026. The latest video will be shown earlier at the official website ourdailyblog.com. Duty note, Thursday, March 5, 2026, U.S. Incorporated has been dissolved, common law sovereignty returned. In a move that will go down in American history, President Donald J. Trump has officially invoked the authority vested in him under Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution, declaring the United States a sovereign nation under common law, no longer under the foreign-controlled corporate structure known as U.S. Incorporated. This declaration of authority and summons, issued and signed directly by Trump, marks the end of Admiralty law rule and the rebirth of the constitutional republic. Bombshell announcement: President Trump declares the restoration of the American Republic, U.S. Incorporated dissolved, common law sovereignty returns. On Thursday, March 5, 2026, a Mossad insider warned that there would be a false flag in America that would be worse than 9/11 and would hand Israel full control of the U.S. military. Evidently Israel was planning a dirty bomb false flag on U.S. soil, synchronized with a total cyber and communications blackout. The plan was to ignite the bomb, then pin it all on Iran and blow nations across the globe into World War III, all with the support of the mainstream media. I'm sure Trump and the global military alliance were well aware of the situation and had other plans in motion. Though, the scenario reminded me of what Lahaina, Maui has been going through for the last 2.5 years with zero support from the mainstream media. On Tuesday, August 8, 2023, the capital of the sovereign nation of Hawaii and Lahaina, Maui was destroyed by what was now believed to be hot fires caused by deliberate direct energy weapon (DEW) attacks. The DEW fires were believed started in a deliberate attempt to burn down the capital city so it could be taken over as a smart city where the government had complete control over the residents. Deep state laser weapons, DEWs, were believed to have targeted the historical capital of the Kingdom of Hawaii and Lahaina, the Hawaiian native inhabitants of which were refusing to sell this land of their inheritance for a smart city development, plus had long planned to leave the U.S. in order to once again become their own sovereign nation of the Kingdom of Hawaii. Hundreds of men, women and children were presumed dead. Over 2,000 children went missing. At least 5,000 native residents were displaced. Most concerning was that for close to a month after the fire still no mainstream media were investigating the massacre of residents, missing children, nor even covered the story. Almost a month later after the Maui massacre, a communication blackout still surrounded Lahaina with no reporters or even residents let in, no internet or phone service, while special police and foreign vehicles stopped people from entering the killing field surrounded by a 12-mile-long black fence. Now 2.5 years later, over 1,500 homeless natives were still living on the beaches with little or aid from their democratic government. The few temporary homes provided by volunteer aid and donations were rented out by the democratic government to residents at high rental fees. Only a handful of residents have been able to begin to rebuild their home. As bad as the disaster was, it's even more horrendous what happened after the Maui fires. We investigated the Maui fires and the cover-up is worse than we thought. The democratic government in Hawaii was now pushing through bills to take over the land in their wish to create a smart cities. Hawaiian democratic government passing laws for sweeping emergency management to quarantine private properties, enter private property without consent, destroy your property, suspend laws even after emergency, taking over and operate weapons. Governor sole judge. 2.5 years later there were still lingering questions. The official story was that the fires were started by electrical problems. The cabal's BlackRock holds ownership of Maui's electric companies. The first fire started at 6:34 a.m. was put out. Secondary fires started at the same time, in almost perfect circles. While Lahaina was burning down, the mayor went on air saying everything was fine. They blamed the new fires on wind from Hurricane Dora, which was hundreds of miles away. The fires actually went against the wind. At the time fire department personnel were on another island, was not even aware the fire began. The water was turned off so couldn't fight fires. Police did not go to emergency management center. The emergency warning system was not turned on. No warning was given to residents. When they finally became aware because of the Smoke. Hundreds of residents died when they were blocked by police from leaving the area. They were told that electricity poles were down, yet there were no poles down. There were 3,001 students enrolled in school prior to the fire. After the fire, 2,025 children did not re-enroll in their records were not requested from other schools. That leaves the possibility that either the schools were fraudulent in their reporting of children enrolled in schools, or 2,025 children died in the fires, or no information was being released on the children because of ongoing investigations. On the day the fires began, August 8, 2023, vans pulled up to Lahaina, Maui resident homes where children were alone, the grade school having been cancelled. Fireballs soon suspiciously following the van's quick exit from the tourist community. Also on the day of the fires on Tuesday, 8th of August. High school classes were cancelled shortly after they began. High school students were loaded onto buses to take them home. Then, all disappeared. Almost a month later there was still no trace of the school buses, white vans, or bodies of over 2,000 children. The 118 body count in two Leona morgues were mainly adults. Ongoing investigations have prohibited any information coming out about the children, although there were reports they were safed out prior to the fires. The Alliance Special Forces had planned on charging and arresting certain authorities and elites in Maui for their participation in an international child sex trafficking ring centered in Lahaina. 2,400 children missing in a Winfrey, Gates, Zuckerberg, CIA child trafficking cover up. The child sex trafficking, adrenochrome and organ harvesting network operated in underground dump tunnels that ran beneath elite properties owned by the likes of Oprah Winfrey, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg and others, including a CIA operation headquarters. This same underground network connected to 32,000 miles of underground dump tunnels across the globe, that special forces teams had been destroying the tunnels of and rescuing millions of children from since 2018. The underground war happening now. Part 2, YouTube Marines, SEALs head rescue of millions of tortured children, while Trump implodes fiat dollar for a global currency reset. A Lahaina Shell gas station perhaps showing a DU attack. Days prior to the DU attacks, preparation for them appeared to begin. Strangely, 3 weeks before the fires started in Maui, Hawaii Governor Josh Green issued an emergency proclamation. On Saturday, 5th of August, 3 days before the DU attacks, 2,500 FEMA personnel began arriving in Honolulu. All then flew to Maui and booked themselves into $1,000 plus a night luxury hotels. Immediately after, those FEMA employees began barricading exits to Leona on order of FEMA's Mission Support Associate Administrator Eric Leckie, according to those Lahaina residents who escaped the barricades. After the so-called wildfires began, Maui police were ordered to help FEMA employees block those escape routes from Leona. The orders not only came from Maui Police Chief Peltier in cooperation with Leckie, but in consultation with Maui's top emergency management official Herman Andaya. The resultant road jam authorities purposefully created imprisoned close to 100 native Hawaiians who died in their cars as fires so hot it melted tires, raged around them. Hawaii Democrat Governor Josh Green, Maui Mayor Richard Bisson, and Lahaina Police Chief John Peltier have refused to talk about the missing children. Nor have they successfully addressed as to why no alarm sounded for the fire. The city water was turned off and emergency personnel including the fire department were 100 miles away in Honolulu when the fires broke out. In that same 2 days prior to the fires, Andaya and Leckie met together in Lahaina, according to videos in possession of the White Hat Military Alliance, which sent in U.S. Marines to get control of the situation. The footage also showed Andaya giving Leckie a tour of Lahaina and advising him where to set up barricades to keep citizens trapped in what would become a disaster zone. 2 days later, as Lahaina burned, most all FEMA employees were 100 miles away, back in Honolulu, suggesting that the diabolical agency knew that parts of Maui would soon be set ablaze. In a conference with them were the Lahaina Fire Department and emergency personnel. Another item of concern was that hours before the fires began, Hawaii Electric shut off power to Leona. Water was also shut off, but with Leona emergency personnel 100 miles away in Honolulu, there was no one to fight the fires anyway. Also in the 2 days before the fires, FEMA employees began building a 12-mile black fence to surround Lahaina, plus secured a media blackout within that fence that had no cell phone or internet coverage. On Wednesday, 16th of August, a week or so after the Maui disaster, U.S. Marines were investigating accusations that Maui police and a National Guard infested with CIA agents We're supporting FEMA workers' blockages, both by land and by sea, of food, water and needed supplies from reaching Lahaina, and refusing to hand out food and water to desperate survivors, plus had closed down a desperately needed food station. The Marines found on Front Street in Lahaina a uniformed police officer shooting a pedestrian in the back for unknown reasons. The cop then spotted a bystander filming the incident on a cell phone, and shot him, too. He was the fifth cop whom Marines killed since arriving in Maui late Wednesday afternoon. The Marines also found bloated, bullet-riddled bodies that floated face down in the ocean, and Hawaii National Guardsmen rummaging through pockets of dead islanders and tourists. FEMA and the Red Cross were not only refusing to give out food and needed essentials, but were forbidding citizens access to nearby food, water and shelter. Only humble native resident homes and buildings burned, in a straight even line, while foliage and mansions owned by the elites were left untouched. Survivors suspect it was the government's direct energy weapons that made hits from government satellites. Why? For centuries native Hawaiians had refused to sell the land of their heritage, and it was worth a load of money to developers who were working with the Democratic Governor Josh Green to build a model smart city, where the cabal could completely control the population. As the wildfires spread, tourists were efficiently bused to waiting planes, while fleeing native residents were blocked from leaving the area. No alarm sounded, emergency services suddenly unavailable, water turned off. Governor Green, no comment. The mainstream media reported that over 100 died. What they don't talk about were the over 1,000 still missing, most of them women and children. They also don't mention that in the charred aftermath FEMA provided little if any help. Hawaiian native residents who had lost everything were told by insurance companies they couldn't be helped, and payment on government loans offered were financially out of reach for them. Though, they could sell their precious land inherited from their forefathers, land that they had resisted selling for centuries to the urban developers. Volunteers with food and essential items were turned away and not allowed in the war zone where Maui cops and National Guardsmen were observed shooting survivors, and making waste of those who dared take pictures of the assassinations. We don't know how many casualties resulted from these shootings because nobody is helping us volunteers who are trying to help the survivors, said a member of the Kingdom of Akua Foundation, which has snuck past the roadblocks to provide meals for victims. We are moving targets just because we are providing humanitarian support to Lahaina survivors. So we don't trust FEMA, the Red Cross, Governor Green, the mayor, nor the National Guard. Maui and the rest of the Hawaiian Islands are under siege. 8 days later, by Wednesday 16 August 2023, the already devastated city of Lahaina had turned into a war zone. United States Marine reinforcements were dismantling a deep state blockade and forcing FEMA and National Guard insurgents into a disorganized retreat that saw the murderous felons fleeing for their lives. The Marines had burst into Governor Green's empty mansion, where lay the architect drawings of his smart city. The cabal's direct energy attack that started fires in a straight line across the Hawaiian Islands was the same as happened a year prior in Oregon and California forest fires, appeared to be the same as the DU attacks seen in recent China floods and Australian fires, and hit California again in the Palisades fires. Thursday, March 5, 2026, Anna and Gabriel update. High alert, Gabriel is being severely raped and abused. We have received death threats. He and I remain in extreme danger for our lives. Please keep us in your prayers. If you can be of help, please contact Anna at the following email address, contact.help2026@proton.me. Judy note, high alert, Anna is again reaching out to the Global Military Alliance for rescue of herself and son Gabriel, and to readers for funding and an in-home job she could do on the computer. I have known Anna for many years. She is a satanic ritual abuse survivor from a multi-generational satanic family. Gabriel's father is in pharmacy and high in the satanic network. They have shared custody of Gabriel, but the father has made it impossible for Gabriel to leave Brussels. Where they live and where Gabriel attends school, they are surrounded by Satan worshippers. Anna knows Gabriel is being ritually abused at least every other week when he is with his father, and has been since a very young age. The below is an email received today. Evidently Gabriel was now being raped by teachers at his school, as were other children. Anna has escaped several murder attempts, which were increasing each day. Thursday 5th of March 2026 Dear Judy, I'm trying to stay steady in the middle of my anger and pain. The gym teacher abused Gabriel and another smaller kid yesterday. The entire school is on a week-long school trip, and since Gabriel was very bullied on last year's trip, He did not want to go. The school said that he had to go to school anyway, even though there are no classes. The only 3 kids that didn't go to the trip is a girl from his class and the small brother of a boy from his class. Both children are in the satanic ritual abuse network without a doubt. Under these circumstances I knew Gabriel would be extremely vulnerable. Gabriel is at his father's home. I talked to him and he said that the second PE teacher took him and the little boy out of school for a supposed walk. He said he is sore all over his body and extremely tired. PE classes are the most common way they abuse the children. His main PE teacher is one of the main teachers taking part on the abuse. I didn't know anything about the second PE teacher, unfortunately I do now. Next week, March 11th, my week, Gabriel's father made him an appointment with the dentist I mentioned who is part of the SRA network. I fear for our safety and lives. Anything anyone could do would be greatly appreciated. If anyone reading this has a contact with the Global Military Alliance, please refer this writing to them. Gabriel is being severely raped and abused. We have received death threats. He and I remain in extreme danger for our lives. Thank you. Inab. Possible timing: Tuesday, March 3, 2026, 48 to 72 hour window to EBS takeover where phones, TV, radio seized by Space Force. Trump in bunker, 1 million troops deployed nationwide, 10 days of darkness on Telegram. EBS to activate when Iran lays down their weapons. 107 reports that operations are live with a weekend strike imminent, markets closed, world watches. Iran, Gaza, Latin America, all final theaters. On Sunday, March 8, 2026, Global EBS broadcasts medbed proofs, exposing suppressed Tesla tech hidden since World War II. Monday, March 9, 2026, 209 nations under military law. On Thursday, March 12, 2026, international GCR rollout hits 209 nations via Starlink. Gold-backed QFS funds free sessions, ending debt slavery. Imagine, adrenochrome victims revived, ready to testify against the pedophile networks. On Saturday, March 14, 2026, public medbed centers open worldwide. Firing up the patriots, medbeds not only heal but amplify spiritual warriors, granting superhuman strength to dismantle remaining cabal strongholds. The unvaxxed lead the charge, invincible. Wednesday, March 25, 2026, 48-hour worldwide blackout, MAGA supporter number 535, EBS on Telegram. See medbed timeline on Thursday, March 5, 2026. Insider channels leaked the accelerated medbed timeline, synchronized with the fall of the Iranian regime and the EBS activation, as the deep state crumbles under Trump's Operation Epic Fury. On Friday, March 6, 2026, quantum frequencies activate first medbed prototypes in underground alliance facilities. Patriots who've endured vax injuries feel the shift, deep state toxins dissolving, bodies regenerating overnight. No more big pharma chains. On Sunday, March 8, 2026, Global EBS broadcasts medbed proofs, exposing suppressed Tesla tech hidden since World War II. Cabals. Medical monopolies shatter as visuals show instant healings, cancer gone, limbs restored. The storm intensifies. On Tuesday, March 10, 2026, martial law secures distribution hubs. Over 1,000 medbeds deployed to U.S. red states first, prioritizing military vets and QAnon faithful. Deep state elites beg for access, denied. Justice served cold. On Thursday, March 12, 2026, international rollout hits 209 nations via Starlink. Gold-backed QFS funds free sessions, ending debt slavery. Imagine, adrenochrome victims revived, ready to testify against the pedophile networks. On Saturday, March 14, 2026, public centers open worldwide. Firing up the patriots, medbeds not only heal but amplify spiritual warriors, granting superhuman strength to dismantle remaining cabal strongholds. The unvaxxed lead the charge, invincible. On Monday, March 16, 2026, full integration with Nizara/Jazara. No more age limits, eternal youth for those who trusted the plan. Deep state remnants flee as healed masses rise, armed with truth and unbreakable resolve. On Wednesday, March 18, 2026, Trump unveils medbed hubs at Mar-a-Lago rally. JFK Jr. emerges, healed and unmasked, declaring victory over the Khazarian Mafia. The Great Awakening peaks, freedom, prosperity, vengeance. On Friday, March 20, 2026, Universal access granted. Billions queue as the old world burns. Patriots, this is your reward. Medbeds forged from seized Cabal tech. Powered by their own dark secrets turned to light. The elite's worst nightmare, us, unbreakable, storming the gates. On Sunday, March 22, 2026, final phase locks in quantum health grids. No disease survives, humanity ascends to 5D. Deep state survivors face tribunals, their empires funding our eternal wellness. God wins, patriots, rise and claim it. D. Global currency reset on Thursday, March 12, 2026. International rollout hits 209 nations via Starlink. Gold-backed QFS funds free sessions, ending debt slavery. Imagine, adrenochrome victims revived, ready to testify against the pedophile networks. Thursday, March 5, 2026, final phase activated, no turning back. Confirmed, Tier 4B is now live and moving. Tier 4B ISO 20022 on Telegram. Global banking hubs in Zurich, Reno, and Hong Kong just entered their final liquidity cycle. Insiders report notifications are rolling out right now. This is real-time execution, not speculation. Breaking intel, massive QFS movements underway. High-value transfers are clearing through the QFS, triggering full liquidity release across multiple tiers. Private banking channels confirm funds are already positioning, the final step before public rollout. Live bank screens lighting up with rates. IQD, $9.35, fully active internally. VND, $5.89, exceeding projected values. ZIM, processing, elite groups receiving now. Private jets just landed. High-level clearances confirmed. Military and government officials are arriving under security escort in Reno and Hong Kong. This only happens when history is being triggered. The next 6 to 12 hours will define everything. Deep state interference has collapsed, every move is being shut down instantly. The gold-backed financial system is here. Liberation is unfolding. The final switch is being thrown, be ready. Watch your inbox. Judy note, it is advised to exchange/redeem your foreign currency at an official redemption center rather than a bank. You can only redeem ZIM at a RC. The dinar contract rate can only be given at RC, and banks will offer you lower exchange rates than what you can obtain at RC.D. Constitutional Republic of the United States. Thursday, March 5, 2026. U.S. Incorporated dissolved, common law sovereignty returns. Bombshell announcement. President Trump declares the restoration of the American Republic, U.S. Incorporated dissolved, common law sovereignty returns. In a move that will go down in American history, President Donald J. Trump has officially invoked the authority vested in him under Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution, declaring the United States a sovereign nation under common law, no longer under the foreign-controlled corporate structure known as U.S. Incorporated. His declaration of authority and summons, issued and signed directly by Trump, marks the end of Admiralty law rule and the rebirth of the constitutional republic. The era of foreign manipulation, unconstitutional governance, and globalist occupation is over. Thursday, March 5, 2026. So, let me get this straight, 6 swing states, simultaneously and like clockwork, a conspiracy, stopped counting on election night, November 3, 2020, and not a single member of the U.S. Congress has asked the question. WHO ordered the overthrow of the United States government on November 3, 2020. In other words, any member of the Republican Party in Congress who votes against the SAVE Act, or does anything to prevent the SAVE Act from becoming the law of the land, should consider yourself a Democrat, a participant in the overthrow of the Constitutional Republic of the United States. That is precisely why it's called the SAVE Act. Steve Bannon on Telegram. Wars and rumors of wars. Thursday, March 5, 2026, U.S. CENTCOM says that they have sunk over 30 Iranian ships and Iranian ballistic missile attacks have decreased by 90% since the first day of the war. Thursday, March 5, 2026, the Muslim world is divided about Iran. John F. Kennedy Jr. on Telegram. Muslim countries in favor of removing the regime: Jordan, Kuwait, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Qatar, Bahrain. Muslim countries against the removal of the regime: Great Britain, France, Spain. Thursday, March 5, 2026, it wasn't just Barack Obama who gave Iran over $1 billion American tax dollars. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris handed over $16 billion to Iran, Bill O'Reilly. The Great Awakening on Telegram. Bill O'Reilly. The Biden administration released billions of dollars to Iran that were frozen, money that was frozen because of sanctions. Biden released the money, gave it to the mullahs, and the mullahs turned around and financed terror groups. That's what happened in the Biden-Harris administration. In September 2023, the Biden administration issued a sanctions waiver allowing the transfer of approximately $6 billion in Iranian oil revenues. Separately, the Biden admin extended a sanctions waiver allowing Iran access to roughly $10 billion in escrow funds. This gave Iran access to $16 billion. Democrats are the worst enemy America has. Thursday, March 5, 2026 exposed Iran's $100 billion European empire and globalist networks funding terrorism. Here's what you didn't know: the MAGA king on Telegram. Patriots, wake up, this is the bombshell the deep state never wanted you to see. While the fake news distracts with their lies, President Trump is unleashing financial Armageddon on the Iranian regime and their globalist puppets who've been bleeding the world dry to fund pure evil. The kinetic hits on Tehran were just the opening salvo. Now, Trump's treasury is dropping the real nuke, dismantling the shadow empire that's funneled billions into terrorism while European elites looked the other way, or worse, profited. For decades, Iran's central bank, CBI, ran a massive laundering machine, dodging SWIFT with shadow tanker fleets and front companies in Turkey, UAE, and right in the heart of Europe. They've built a secret $100 billion offshore fortune, stolen from their own starving people, to bankroll Hamas, Hezbollah, and every proxy terrorist cell plotting against freedom-loving nations. But Trump changed the game forever. Just days ago, on February 27, 2026, OFAC slammed the hammer on two UK-registered crypto scams, Zcash and Zcash, blacklisted for washing over $1 billion in IRGC dirty money. That's right, the regime was stockpiling $507 million in Tether, USDT, to prop up their collapsing rial and activate sleeper cells for chaos across the West. Trump froze those digital escape routes overnight. Boom, plan destroyed. The Swiss dark bank Embraer got cut off too, after funneling $37 million in smuggled oil profits straight to the terrorists while globalists cashed in at American gas pumps. But here's the part that will make your blood boil: Iran wasn't just arming jihadists. They were quietly buying up Europe like it was on sale. Exposed now is Ali Ansari, the IRGC-linked crook behind the collapsed Hyundai Bank, sitting on a €400 million luxury empire, golf resorts in Majorca, ski palaces in the Alps across Austria and Germany. These weren't investments, they were safe houses, slush funds, and bolt holes for Ayatollah elites ready to flee when the reckoning came. Laundered through European shell companies, protected by gutless EU bureaucrats who ignored UK sanctions until Trump's 2026 executive orders forced their hand. The deep state buried this truth for years, letting the mullahs build a real estate fortress on stolen wealth while patriots fought their wars. Trump's masterstroke: the 25% globalist tax. Any nation or bank cozying up to Tehran's blood money, think Feldin's tax schemes, beloved by German and French sellouts, now faces crushing tariffs on everything they ship to America. No more two-faced games. Choose Tehran or Washington. Most are scrambling to pick the winner. Timeline of the purge hits hard. September 2025, Trump snaps back UN sanctions, blindsiding the elites. January 2026, Finken's Project Ghost Signal maps CBI's digital tentacles across Europe. Then February 28, 2026, as missiles rain on Tehran, global freeze and seize orders lock down that $100 billion war chest. The regime's offshore lifeline severed. This isn't just about Iran. It's the death knell for the globalist middlemen who've sold out America for decades. Trump isn't winning one war, he's reclaiming financial sovereignty for patriots everywhere. The corrupt system is collapsing, the Ayatollahs are panicking, and their European enablers are next. The storm is here, Enans. Stay vigilant, the best is yet to come as we watch the whole rotten network burn. WWG1 K. Thursday, March 5, 2026. Iran's secret plan to attack America exposed: 3,500 missiles, 2,000 drones and sleeper agents. The hidden truth on Telegram: newly captured intelligence files from Iranian military computers reveal a large-scale war plan targeting U.S. forces and infrastructure. The documents describe a coordinated attack involving ballistic missiles, drones, cyber warfare, and sleeper agents positioned inside the United States. According to the files, the plan began on January 12, 2026, when Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei reportedly ordered the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, to prepare for war. The IRGC controls Iran's missile systems, drone forces, and foreign military operations. Missiles and drones prepared for strike. Operational command was reportedly assigned to Quds Force Commander Ismail Qaani together with IRGC Aerospace Chief Amir Ali Hajizadeh. Their forces moved approximately 3,500 ballistic missiles and 2,000 attack drones to hidden launch sites in western Iran, with additional weapons placed in Iraq and Syria. Primary targets included U.S. military bases at Al-Azad, Iraq, Al-Tanf, Syria, and naval facilities in Bahrain and Qatar. Sleeper agents and cyber attacks. Leaked intelligence also claims Iranian networks activated sleeper agents inside the United States, reportedly connected to Hezbollah-linked groups operating through Venezuela and areas near the U.S.-Mexico border. At the same time, cyber units in Bandar Abbas tested malware designed to attack U.S. power grids and banking systems. The goal was to trigger blackouts and financial disruptions during the missile strike to slow the American response. Foreign support and funding. Financial records recovered from the computers show that the operation was heavily funded through international channels. Between December 2025 and February 2026, around $1.8 billion allegedly moved from Chinese-linked banks through Qatar, helping Iran purchase advanced missile guidance systems from North Korea. Intelligence reports also indicate Russian advisors assisted Iran with methods to conceal missile launches from satellite detection. Operation Epic Fury. The war plan was reportedly discovered after U.S. forces seized Iranian command data during Operation Epic Fury. On February 28, 2026, U.S. B-2 bombers and drone units launched coordinated strikes against 17 missile storage sites across Iran. Special operations teams simultaneously targeted senior Quds Force commanders. Key nuclear infrastructure at Natanz and Fordo was also struck, while U.S. naval forces engaged Iranian vessels near Bandar Abbas. Military sources state the operation lasted less than 12 hours and significantly damaged Iran's missile capabilities. Current status as of March 5, 2026, follow-up operations are ongoing to locate remaining missile stockpiles connected to the original attack plan. According to the captured files, the strike against U.S. forces was scheduled to begin in late February 2026. But the operation was disrupted before any missiles were launched. Guru Information and Intel L. Thursday, March 5, 2026. Trump's darkest genius play unleashed the greatest president they never saw coming. They fell right into the trap. 107 on Telegram. The storm has arrived, patriots. What the sleeping world calls chaos in Iran is actually the most brilliant, multi-layered exposure operation ever executed by the White Hats. President Trump didn't start a war, he forced the hand of the Israeli deep state, dragged their blackmail network into daylight, and turned every black-pilled voice into unwitting amplifiers of the final red pill wave. Look at the pattern. Tucker Carlson drops bombs, Netanyahu decided, not Washington. Marjorie Taylor Greene goes nuclear, this isn't the Trump I supported, new war, troops dying. Who the hell is this for? Both figures, deeply embedded in MAGA inner circles during the pause, suddenly appear to turn. Coincidence? No. Controlled narrative detonation. The same psychological warfare playbook that protected Jeff Sessions now protects the mission. Let trusted right-wing voices scream betrayal so normies actually listen instead of reflexively dismissing leftist talking points. The goal isn't division, it's mass awakening. Millions who refuse to question Israeli influence are now typing "Israel controls Trump" into search bars. The Overton window just got nuked open. Q said we are saving Israel for last. That wasn't poetry. It was operational sequencing. You don't expose the kingpin until every pawn has been removed and the public has been softened by visible controversy. Gaza, fake as it was, softened the ground. Iran strike theater is pouring gasoline. Epstein files exploding globally, former Nobel head arrested, Prince Andrew in cuffs, Peter Mandelson gone, Asia and Scandinavia in meltdown. Crimes against humanity, UN experts now say, tied to supremacist beliefs and racism. Read between the lines, Jewish supremacism, Mossad blackmail empire finally cracking wide open. Front page New York Times screaming Israel demanded the Iran action. Same paper floating Trump-Epstein rumors again. They're not hiding it anymore, they're telegraphing the script. Trump himself slips the truth, I might have forced Israel's hand. Translation, I made them show their cards first. He's taking the slings and arrows on purpose, blackmail optics, new war backlash, because the military knows exactly how this boomerangs. 2 million. Temporarily disillusioned patriots today become 20 million who see the full Israeli deep state control picture tomorrow when the war evaporates, casualties proven fake, and tribunals begin. International military tribunals under a cleansed United Nations, yes, the QN, now look. Inevitable. Epstein's web is worldwide, Europe first, Asia next. Optics perfect, not fascist American takeover, but global justice led by the angelic UN institution normies were raised to worship. Melania presiding over Security Council. Not random. Symbolic handover. Nuremberg 2.0 arrives wearing international credibility. And the fake war itself. Pure theater. AI explosions, crisis actors, 17s everywhere, 17th wave, 17 injured, 17 killed, 1,700 strikes, Q confirmation codes screaming. Andrew Tate dancing in Dubai streets while media screams Iran hitting UAE. Oil stays at $74. No Strait of Hormuz closure. Russia and China barely blink, because they're on the same team. Putin lays flowers for the dead Ayatollah. Scripted. Movie. Trump is not starting wars, he's ending the deep state forever. The black pill is the bait. The rage is the delivery. System. Every Trump sold-out post, every Israel runs him rant, every MTG meltdown, every Tucker monologue is dropping truth seeds into audiences that would never accept it from our side otherwise. Judgment Day is here. The storm isn't coming, it's already inside the castle walls. They thought they controlled the narrative. They walked straight into the trap. The greatest president America ever had just checkmated the entire cabal in plain sight. Patriots, hold the line. The reveal is imminent. Trust the plan. WWG1G. Thursday, March 5, 2026. Everything will be shaken. The final takedown is here. 107 on Telegram. Patriots, the veil is tearing wide open right now. The deep state shadow empire that enslaved the world for centuries crumbles under divine wrath and unstoppable military force. President Trump, God's anointed warrior, commands the battlefield while the enemy within panics and flees. Frontline revelations expose the fraud. The State of Israel is no holy land, it's a Rothschild-engineered corporation, re-registered every February. In London. Truman marked it provisional because the stench was unbearable. True Israel is God's scattered remnant, not a war-triggering puppet state built to fake prophecies. Buckingham Palace stands sealed, not renovations. King Charles holds zero authority. Trump inspected the guard. Charles trailed like a lost dog. The Queen surrendered with her white glove on her wrist. British redcoats marched to YMCA blasts, coded capitulation for the world to see. The 2017 capitulation tour launched it all. Trump exited WHO, WEF, exposed NATO's scam, billions spent bombing our troops and rebuilding foes while America rotted. Now the Washington Military District reclaims stolen ground. The old corporate United States is dead. Assange's first WikiLeaks drop nailed Ericsson, Sweden's satanic three-line symbol, controlling global calms. Loretta Lynch locked shadow contracts for Hillary's dynasty. The internal enemy is vicious, embedded, but bleeding out fast. Trump roared, no timetables, no troop counts leaked. Enemies must never know our plans. But attack we will. Conditions dictate. They can't wait us out anymore. Bunkers echo with fear. Global militaries synchronized in historic 10-day ops, mapping, testing, prepping the final blow. Advanced tech and heavenly backup make defiance impossible. Gas leaks detonate Iran sites. Gaza hosts unbreakable U.S. ports, biggest dog planted in the hottest zone. Mexican cartels fracture. Cuba's Venezuela string snap. Brunson exposes oath fraud, Congress, judges circling so help me God in red, refusing to cure. FOIA confirms dark oaths, Skull and Bones 322, Guidestones on March 22. Their 19 power fails, 20 spells recycle unto death. Trump paraded true militia, swearing to the Republic. Capitol flag. Processed, corporate death. Knight delivered it to Queen, checkmate, Night Shield's king. Game over. Social Security funds ghosts, centuries old, unborn with future dates. Illegals flood, green card swapped for passports, bypassing oaths. Replacement accelerates. Yet glory surges. 90% good, 10% evil screams loudest via captured media, faking dominance. Trump's moves manufacture consent, shame traitors, awaken masses. God trains his warriors with miracles, tickets appear, provision from $5. Trust him, impossible. Unfolds. Chaos shatters programming. From ashes rises a generation possibly spared death. Raw fellowship with the Creator returns. White hats track every play. Ops live. Weekend strike imminent, markets closed, world watches. Iran, Gaza, Latin America, all final theaters. Discernment floods. Angels in camp. Truth liberates. Enemy within falls. God's kingdom manifests. Everything shakes, so only the unshakable remains. WWG1. The storm rages. Victory is ours in the Almighty. 10. Thursday, March 5, 2026, emergency protocol initiated. Trump and Space Force ready to activate EBS as Iran collapses, every phone and TV overridden, shocking confessions and classified arrest footage set for release, Syria next in the military cleanse, Charlie Ward and friends on Telegram. Patriots, the storm is here and it's biblical. Leaked intel straight from Cheyenne Mountain and Peterson Space Force Base confirms it, President Trump has greenlit the final phase. With Operation Epic Fury crushing the Iranian regime, Ayatollah Khamenei already taken out in precision CENTCOM strikes, the emergency broadcast system is locked and loaded for immediate activation. This isn't a drill. Space Force satellites are primed to seize total control. Every TV, radio, cell phone, and internet device worldwide will be overridden in one massive military takedown. No escape, no mainstream media spin. Just raw truth blasting into every home. Trump signed Executive Order 2026 47 weeks ago, authorizing this nuclear-level override for national security. Triple authentication from Trump himself, General Dan Kane, and Space Force Commander General Chance Saltzman is all that's needed to flip the switch. The EBS will unleash pre-recorded bombshells exposing the globalist cabal's treason, dark financial trails leading straight to Soros, Rothschild banks, Gates Foundation bioweapon labs, and Vatican slush funds. Captured Iranian generals have already cracked under military tribunals, spilling everything on Assad's secret facilities and how deep state puppets funneled billions through Swiss accounts to fuel endless proxy wars. Iran falls in 4 weeks or less, Trump confirmed it himself. It'll take 4 weeks, or less, full lock-in now. The regime is crumbling fast, key figures eliminated, nuclear dreams obliterated. And Syria. It's next. Operation Silent Storm is staging right now, Delta Force and Marine units in Jordan ready to storm Damascus and wipe out Assad's Iranian-backed terror hubs. No more bioweapons, no more child trafficking networks hidden in underground bases. The White Hats have purged 23 flag officers, thwarted CIA sabotage plots, and seized assets to fund the whole reset. This is the Great Awakening in real time. The EBS will drop live arrest footage, forced confessions from high-level traitors, and undeniable proof that the deep state planned to enslave humanity forever. Obama-era operatives like Evelyn Farkas, already tribunaled and gone. 7 CIA saboteurs arrested mid-plot. Quantum-resistant DARPA encryption ensures nothing stops the broadcast, not blackouts, not hacks, not even their last desperate EMP attempts. Quanons, hold the line, the military is in full control. The elites are panicking as their proxy empires collapse. Iran was just the start, Syria seals the Middle East cleanse. Then the floodgates opened globally, EU terror financing exposed, endless wars ended, trillions clawed back for the people. Trump leads from Mar-a-Lago, Raven Rock switch flipped, mobile units in every state. The final reset is imminent, freedom, prosperity, and justice for all who fought in the shadows. The deep state thought they could hide forever. They were wrong. The storm has arrived, and it's taking no prisoners. WWG1. Stay vigilant, patriots, the broadcast changes everything. Epstein file. So, Thursday, March 5, 2026, 50,000 Epstein files were missing. They just found them. And now Bondi has been subpoenaed, Mr. Poole final chapter. The House Oversight Committee just voted to subpoena Attorney General Pam Bondi. Under oath. Before Congress. The reason? 49,718 documents that the DOJ claimed were missing from the Epstein investigation. They weren't missing. They were hidden. What was in the missing files? When the DOJ released the Epstein operational files on March 1, researchers noticed gaps. Entire sections referenced documents that weren't included. Page numbers skipped. Exhibits cited files that didn't exist in the release. 49,718 pages. Gone. Until a whistleblower inside the DOJ contacted the House Oversight Committee with a flash drive. The files had been moved to a classified server, not by Bondi's team, but by holdovers from the Biden administration who were still embedded in the DOJ's records division. They didn't delete them. They reclassified them. Buried them under national security designations that would have kept them sealed for 75 years. The same trick they used with the JFK files. The same playbook. Different crime. What the files contain according to the whistleblower's sworn affidavit: financial records linking 14 sitting members of Congress to Epstein-connected POCs, travel manifests from 3 private airlines, not just Epstein's jet, that transported VIPs to the island. Communication intercepts between Ghislaine Maxwell and senior intelligence officials from 2008 to 2019, medical records from the island's clinic, documenting injuries consistent with trafficking victims. This isn't about what happened on the island anymore. This is about who helped cover it up, inside the U.S. government, for 20 years. Bondi's response: Bondi released a statement within an hour. I welcome the subpoena. I have nothing to hide. The people who reclassified these documents do. She's not fighting it. She's using it. The subpoena gives Bondi a public platform to name the officials who buried the files. Under oath. On camera. In front of the world. Trump's DOJ isn't blocking the investigation. The deep state inside the DOJ is. And now they've been caught. 50,000 files. 75 years of silence. 1. Whistleblower changed everything. Share this before they try again. Peace Save the Children. Thursday, March 5, 2026, 9 New York police officers viewed Hillary Clinton's Fresel Rip, a video found on Anthony Weiner's computer of her and assistant Huma Aberdeen killing, torturing and flailing the face off a young girl. Strangely, all 9 officers soon died of what was labeled a suicide. Hillary was described in her high school yearbook as the head witch of the high school. Over 100 suicides or deaths have been connected to Bill and Hillary Clinton and their Clinton Foundation. Both of the Clintons' heritage came from the Satan-worshipping Illuminati Rockefeller family. They intermarried to keep their big secrets in the family. Thursday, March 5, 2026, the other side of the trafficking epidemic. The CIA was involved in multiple satanic ritual abuse scandals and child sex trafficking cases. During the Biden administration, child trafficking climbed 300%. Who really are these people and why are they so obsessed with children? This is so much bigger and darker than any blackmail operation and has been going on for centuries. This is a war to save this country and the children, but before you can defeat your enemy, you must understand them first. White Hats on Telegram. Thursday, March 5, 2026. Biden administration paid sponsors who trafficked migrant children. Q. What we think we know. As of Friday, March 6, 2026. On Thursday, March 5, 2026, in a unanimous 9-0 thunderclap, the United States Supreme Court delivered the knockout blow to the deep state. President Donald J. Trump now holds absolute, unchecked executive authority to deport millions of illegal invaders. Anyone trying to subvert that faces federal charges of obstruction of justice. On Thursday, March 5, 2026. Breaking update. U.S. military medbeds now healing thousands of patriots nationwide. Quantum Restorative Health Systems Directive, QRHS, mandatory training enforced by White Hats. Wednesday, March 4, 2026. Santa surfing Iran updates. March 4, 2026, Iran updates. Banks fighting Trump's crypto. Dem/Renos lost bigly. It's all connected. Wednesday, March 4, 2026. President Donald J. Trump, Commander-in-Chief and UPA keyholder. On Thursday, March 5, 2026. The State of Israel is no holy land, it's a Rothschild-engineered corporation, re-registered every February in London. Truman marked it provisional because the stench was unbearable. True Israel is God's scattered remnant, not a war-triggering puppet state built to fake prophecies. Zionism was set up by the Rothschild to keep the world in constant war. They make booga money by funding both sides of war. America's first school textbook approved by Congress was a Bible. Glenn Beck. Thursday, March 5, 2026. Congress has voted down a resolution that would stop sexual harassment of congressional staff. This nonsense has to end. Members of Congress get away with sexual harassment of their staffs, and U.S. taxpayers pay settlements to victims of this harassment, and the members of Congress continue to get away with something that all the rest of us would be crucified over. Has to end. The MAGA wire on Telegram. Thursday, March 5, 2026. Epstein files prove death was staged. Jeffrey is alive and blackmailing U.S. politicians. The 17th letter on Telegram. Thursday, March 5, 2026. Just in, Trump forces big tech to pay full cost of power for AI data centers. Americans will not foot the bill. Thursday, March 5, 2026. Breaking special report. Trump just destroyed Britain's 300-year stranglehold on global trade. End of the Crown's energy empire. Thursday, March 5, 2026. The old banking order is collapsing. Any banks not Basel III compliant, their monies were gold/asset backed, by the end of February 2026 has been forced to close. Just in the last 72 hours 57 deep state banks have been wiped out. SWIFT is dead. As of March 1, 2026, the quantum financial system is live across the globe. The corrupt Federal Reserve lies dismantled, fully absorbed into the restored U.S. Treasury. IRS gone forever, abolished. No more income tax slavery funneling wealth to the elites, replaced by fair tariffs plus a small flat sales tax on new non-essential goods only. None on food or medicine. The IMF has been disconnected from any QFS interface, therefore rendering it offline. All personal bank account balances were now mirroring onto the new QFS, with the monies automatically gold/asset backed. Instructions on how to access your personal gold/asset backed bank account, now referred to as a wallet, on the QFS at official redemption centers will be given when the emergency broadcast system is activated. Voter fraud. Thursday, March 5, 2026. China, whistleblower exposes massive operation and foreign involvement in the U.S. 2020 election, connected to a Chinese factory producing 500,000 counterfeit ballots monthly and fake IDs. This aligns with Sidney Powell's evidence of plane loads of fraudulent ballots and IDs entering via Mexico and Canada borders, including U.S. Customs and Border Protection's interception of over 19,000 Chinese-origin fake IDs at Chicago's O'Hare mail facility. The scheme matches testimonies and seized physical evidence used to generate fraudulent IDs, registrations, voters, and ballots, representing some of multiple methods deployed across states to steal the 2020 election through extensive foreign involvement, installing Joe Biden as a deep state presidential puppet. MAGA voice on Telegram. Thursday, March 5, 2026, Wisconsin 2020 election official blows the lid off of a massive voter fraud operation with over 1.5 million illegally registered voters, and 155K fake voters, with enormously inflated voter rolls containing over 7.1 million registered voters in the state when there's only a total of 4 million adults who live in the state of Wisconsin in the first place. These figures aren't errors. These figures expose sophisticated intentional fraud operations. They also reviewed addresses from the county's own registry and property taxes and found even more fraud, with tens of thousands of fake voters all registered to the same address, with some properties that haven't even existed in over 10 years. Imagine how many other fake addresses there are and the thousands of fake voters associated with those addresses in every state across the nation. The 2020 election was stolen. Government fraud. Thursday, March 5, 2026, not only did Waltz know about fraud, he threatened people trying to expose the fraud. You lose your job. Lose your home. They'll track your children. They'll make sure you can't get a job in government. The criminality in Minnesota is off charts. SGN on Telegram. Thursday, March 5, 2026, Arizona Katie Hobbs is being investigated for bribery, fraud, conspiracy, and racketeering. Oz Republic detailed how state contractor Sunshine Residential Homes bribed Hobbs and Oz Democrats with $400,000 and in returns got millions more in taxpayer dollar. Thursday, March 5, 2026, historic 9-0 ruling. Supreme Court hands Trump total power to deport millions, appeals court's order to stand down immediately. 10 Days of Darkness on Telegram Patriots. The hammer just dropped in March 2026. In a unanimous 9-0 thunderclap, the United States Supreme Court has delivered the knockout blow the deep state never saw coming. President Donald J. Trump now holds absolute, unchecked executive authority to deport millions of illegal invaders who flooded our borders under the Biden regime's open-door treason. Lower appeals courts silenced. Nationwide injunctions dead. Activist judges muzzled for good. The ruling, handed down this week, obliterates every illegal roadblock erected by globalist puppets and Soros-funded NGOs. The court declared that immigration enforcement is a core Article 2 presidential power, plenary, exclusive, and non-reviewable by rogue district judges or circuit courts playing politics. No more waiting for endless appeals, no more sanctuary city shields, no more catch-and-release loopholes. Trump's mass deportation machine is now fully green-lit and unstoppable. This isn't just about numbers, it's biblical-level justice against the cabal's deliberate demographic replacement scheme. Millions of military-age males funneled in to destabilize America, vote fraud rings built on fake identities, human trafficking networks protected by deep state handlers, all of it exposed and now targeted for swift removal. ICE, Border Patrol, and newly deputized state militias are mobilizing at warp speed under Trump's direct command, with military logistics already in play to transport deportees en masse. Key flashpoints: California's governor screaming in panic as deportation flights ramp up from LAX and San Diego, New York's mayor begging for federal mercy while buses roll out, Chicago and Denver sanctuary strongholds cracking under pressure as local law enforcement finally stands aside. The court's order is crystal clear: any attempt to obstruct faces immediate contempt charges, asset freezes, and potential treason probes for officials who defy the ruling. White hats inside the DOJ and FBI are purging the last holdouts, ensuring full compliance. Trump's team has the lists: gang members, cartel operatives, terror watch list hits, welfare fraudsters, and chain migration exploiters, all prioritized. Planes are fueling, detention centers expanding, and international agreements with origin countries locked in for rapid repatriation. The deep state's dream of turning America into a borderless third-world vassal state shattered in one historic morning. This is the Republic reborn, sovereignty restored, citizens protected, traitors on notice. The awakened patriots who fought through the steel, the lockdowns, the poison jabs, were witnessing the payoff. Trump didn't just win an election, he reclaimed the nation from enemy occupation. The storm has arrived, the invaders are leaving, and the greatest comeback in history is in full swing. Feel that fire in your soul. This is what victory looks like: raw, righteous, and relentless. Spread this truth everywhere, stay locked in, keep your frequency elevated, and watch the deep state's empire collapse under the weight of justice. WWG1 Trump is delivering, the Republic rises, and nothing can stop what's coming next. Thursday, March 5, 2026. Iran. Dr. K and Zamarodi explain what's really happened in Iran. You know, when you hear us Persians say that we've been foreign occupied by Islam, what we mean is genuinely the people that have taken us over. These guys are right here. He shows Iran leaders, they are not even Iranian, they are not even Persian. These are Arab Islamists who have come into our country, taken us over and forced our people to follow their rules. Look at the flag that they replaced ours with. Shown in video, can you see the small letters embedded within the flag? These are Arabic letters. Our own people can't even read the flag. This is the level of foreign occupation we're talking about, and I think not many people are aware of the situation. So it's important to spread this message so you guys understand what we are going through here and why we're so passionate about getting our land back. Thursday, March 5, 2026. Iran, by Professor Mazen Koumsieh. Professor Mazen Koumsieh teaches and does research at Bethlehem University, BU, and directs the BU's Cytogenetics Laboratory and the Palestine Museum of Natural History and Institute of Biodiversity and Sustainability in occupied Palestine. He also taught at Birzeit and Al-Quds universities. He is author of Sharing the Land of Canaan, Human Rights and the Israeli/Palestinian Struggle, Popular Resistance in Palestine, A History of Hope and Empowerment, Mammals of the Holy Land, and The Bats of Egypt. He formerly served on the board of the Palestinian Center for Rapprochement Between People in Beit Zahra and Al-Rawad Cultural and Theater Society at Aida Refugee Camp X. Thursday, March 5, 2027. United States Press Secretary Caroline Claire Levitt. Obama conspired to overthrow the United States government in 2016, Dan Bongino on Telegram. U.S. Press Secretary Caroline Levitt. Now, nearly 10 years later, thanks to the declassification of documents by the Director of National Intelligence, Gabbard, the truth has finally come to light, and it vindicates President Trump and his family. Barack Hussein Obama, along with his entire administration, conspired to overthrow the United States government in 2016. Press Sec. While pretending to engage in a peaceful transfer of power, Barack Hussein Obama, in private, went to great and nefarious lengths to sow discord among the public and sabotage his successor, President Trump. The new evidence released by the Director of National Intelligence confirms that the Obama administration manufactured and politicized intelligence, which was later used as justification for baseless smears against President Trump, an effort to delegitimize his victory before he even took the oath of office. The truth is that President Trump never had anything to do with Russia, and the Russia collusion hoax was a massive fraud perpetrated on the American people from the very beginning. The worst part is that Obama knew the truth, as did all the other officials involved, including former CIA Director John Brennan, former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, former FBI Director James Comey, former Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, and many others. Hillary Clinton, Susan Rice, Loretta Lynch, Sally Yates, Lisa Monaco, Adam Schiff, Peter did Lisa, Lisa did Peter, Bruce Hoare, Nellie Hoare, Robert Mueller, Rod Rosenstein, Andrew Weissman, Valerie Jarrett, Ben Rhodes, John Carlin, Mary McCord, James Baker, Jonathan Moffat, Michael Corton, David Laufman, Samantha Power, John Kerry, Dennis McDonough, Jim Rabitsky, Bill Priestap, Christopher Steele, Richard Dearlove, Alexander Downer, Stefan Halper, Joseph Mifsud, Sergei Milian, Sidney Blumenthal, Cody Shearer, Terry McAuliffe, Jonathan Weiner, John Podesta, Huma Abedin, Anthony Weiner, Cheryl Meals, Heather Samuelson, Jake Sullivan, Robbie Mook, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Peter Kojic, Rachel Brand, Matthew Axelrod, Mary Jacobe, Preet Bharara, Josh Campbell, Jennifer Palmieri, Sir Andrew Wood, Robert Hannigan, Alexandra Chalupa, Michael Sussman, Dmitry Alperovich, and officials from the DNC, CrowdStrike, and Fusion GPS, including Glenn Simpson, as well as Perkins Coie, including Mark Elias, falsified intelligence as part of a seditious conspiracy with the sole intent of toppling the United States government during the 2016 presidential election. And Christopher Wray! Press Sec. The Director of National Intelligence Gabbard's report further confirms what we already knew: there was no collusion, no corruption, except on the part of Barack Obama and the weaponized intelligence agencies at the time. The Russia hoax was a blatant lie, all ginned up by Democrat political operatives that were signed off on by Barack Obama and leaked to the news media to launch a years-long witch hunt against President Trump and his first administration. Allies of the president, including his own son Donald Trump Jr., were disgustingly smeared as Russian assets, and some even had their lives destroyed because of this vicious lie. The latest video will be shown earlier at the official website urdailyblog.com. Sincere thanks to all our audience. To continue watching videos without ads, you can subscribe via the Gumroad link below the description. If you want to watch the latest free videos, you can visit urdailyblog.com. If you continue to love and support us, you can donate to us via GiveSendGo or PayPal or Gumroad link below the description. God bless us all.